Chapter 71 Decisive. You are listening at NovelsReturning. There's nothing to eat. The night wind on the Gobi Desert was biting, bringing with it some sand. The giant cactus at night looked like a strange monster. After Tao Yu recovered, he looked at the last 2 cans of beef and a bottle of mineral water, and didn't stuff them into his mouth. He just ate another piece of chocolate. At this time, there were already 4 aliens following him. Except for Xiaohei, who looked the worst, the other 3 had already completed the initial domestication. To maintain the 4 aliens for a long time and consolidate the rewards and punishments on time every day, it was actually quite troublesome for Tao Yu, but originally, he just wanted to use them temporarily, and Tao Yu didn't think about the long term. Take them to complete the replacement of the guards. If you succeed, you will naturally get a reward. Tao Yu looked back at the scarred Xiaohei, and the latter stood up with his head held high. Although he was covered in scars and looked miserable, the other 3 aliens really bowed their heads to recognize this temporary boss, and then quickly rushed towards the location of the nest. Tao Yu looked at the fault that was more than 10 meters high, and then quickly climbed up. After reaching the range of the rainforest, he kept groping towards the top of the nest. He did not spend extra energy to actively escape into the shadows, but relying on the passive initial effects of the 2 lurking abilities, plus the insight of bullet time. He was also confident that he could bypass the aliens that might appear in the forest. There are more than 3,000 willpower left, 3 physical potions. I hope it is enough. Tao Yu also has accelerated willpower consumption on a daily basis, but after all, it has only been a few days, and there are still more than 3,000 willpower left. His current strength is stronger than when he wiped out the Li family. The consumption of willpower recovery is probably greater, but the increase in strength has far compensated for the disadvantages of consumption. Damn, I was refining corpses well, and I didn't provoke anyone. Why do you always force me? 4 aliens entered the nest in succession, attracting the attention of Fei Gu, and the other 3. Fei Gu, standing on the white mucus, looked at the nest that was much more crowded, and seemed to frown. In this narrow environment, if these beasts suddenly attack, it will be really troublesome. The new aliens didn't bring anything back, and one of them was obviously injured. No one knew what happened. The new aliens kept roaring in front of the queen, as if they were telling something. The injured alien was still howling beside him in grievance. Then the injured alien came to the edge of the cave, jumped a few times and jumped onto a tree root that came down from above, and lay in the corner of the tree root licking his wound. The few aliens who were originally guarding the nest also seemed to take turns, communicated with each other, and then ran out of the cave. And no one knew where to go. Similarly, the new aliens were very unfriendly to the 3 pioneers, and kept baring their teeth. We can't delay any longer. Xiaomei, go back first. Get the medicine while contacting the 2 adults. Explain our situation and tell them that we have first-hand information about the alien queen. Okay, but it will take at least 5 days for me to come back. Can you 2 handle it? That the petite figure also looked a little worried at this time. They couldn't stay up all the time. The 3 of them took turns to rest here. Now that one of them was missing, the intensity would only be greater. Any of us can handle these in the nest. With the distance between us and the alien queen, 5 days is not a big problem. Fei Gu still had some confidence in his words. They are the biggest deterrent to the alien queen here. The alien queen, who had witnessed the strength of the 3, knew it clearly. Okay, be careful. Xiaomei's face showed a solemn look, and then she began to sit cross-legged on the ground with her eyes closed and began to meditate. Because she was in the alien nest, she couldn't meditate wholeheartedly. It took about 20 minutes before she disappeared into the nest with a twist. The disappearance of Xiaomei's breath also made the alien queen and the 4 aliens who came in turn their heads to look over at the same time. Xiaohei, who was covered in scars, did the same. He then began to climb higher again, stretched out his claws and began to dig upwards, digging a little wider, the hole extending from the tree roots. Brother Fei, I always feel something is wrong. Dada too looked at the somewhat restless alien queen and also felt a little heartbeat, not knowing why. Xiaomei is gone. It's normal for the alien queen to have thoughts. Brother Fei's attention was also focused on the alien queen and the aliens at this time. Except for the injured alien who kept digging, the other 3 aliens moved from time to time, as if they wanted to enter the blind spot of their vision. which made him frown, can't bear it anymore. It's very tiring to keep alert and vigilant. Now there are only two of us taking turns. You need to rest first. I will wake you up later. Okay. Tao suppressed the palpitations in his heart, knowing the importance of conserving energy at this time. He took out an ampoule and gave it to Brother Fei, saying, Brother Fei, if there is any situation, smash this first, it should be able to slow it down. But Brother Fei did not take the potion, but said coldly, No need, if this beast really doesn't know how to appreciate it, then I will kill it. The sudden burst of killing intent made the alien queen feel alert, and then she let out a threatening roar. The same was true for the several aliens next to her. However, facing Fei Ji's momentum, the aliens with a large number of insects seemed a little timid. We still have to rely on Fei Gu. Tao Yu showed admiration on his face. Learn it. If you can learn this, it won't be so troublesome to tame it. Fei Gu, with his hands on his chest, also grinned, with the corners of his mouth slightly upturned. After all, he was just 18 years old, and it was naturally very useful for the skills he was proud of to achieve the desired effect. Go to sleep quickly, don't waste time. Okay. Tao Yu's pressure in his heart suddenly decreased at this time. With Fei Gu guarding here, he could have a good rest. However, just as he relaxed and closed his eyes for a while, the feeling of trembling suddenly emerged again, accompanied by a sound of puff that the sticky liquid had already sprayed on him. After opening his eyes, he saw Brother Fei standing in front of him with his arms crossed over his chest, and his head was gone, blood was splattering. The liquid he felt before was Brother Fei's blood plasma. What's going on? Dreaming? Hallucination? But he was a little slow, and the bullets that came with the gunshots had hit his head continuously. Although Tao had mechanized transformation, the various bones in his head had been replaced with metal plates, but the mental shock that came with it, as well as the armor-piercing effect of the warlord's gun, still severely injured him in an instant. Tao Yu had no idea of getting close to Tao at all. At the beginning, the gun in Joseph's mouth exploded at the end, but it made him a little PTSD. While the warlord's gun was shooting, the whole figure also exploded and rushed towards the direction of the alien queen. On the other side, in addition to the injured Xiao He, the other three aliens also rushed towards Tao to finish off the enemy. Xiao He hooked his tail and directly hooked Fei Ji's body, dragging it out quickly. Tao Yu had already seen the huge and ferocious queen head-on at this time. Then, when the alien queen's claws were about to scratch his body, he disappeared directly in front of the alien queen like a scattered ink painting. The sharp claws with strong wind seemed to only grab some smoke. When Tao Yu's figure appeared again, it was behind the queen's huge head. The shadow power, like splashing ink and pouring it upside down, instantly gathered in the giant lizard's tooth, and the alien queen's head was almost cut off with a knife. Tao Yu never thought about subduing the alien queen. The difference in size and strength was too great. The effect of taming modification must be something that has been successfully tamed initially. The risk is too great, and he doesn't need to take risks. A dead alien queen is a good queen. Boom! A sudden violent explosion occurred on Tao's side, and the shock wave directly tore the three aliens that rushed over. Tao Yu, who chose to stay away from the beginning and ensured his position, was also blown away by the shock wave outside under the cover of the alien queen's body. The strength that stimulated the blood and protected the vitals was instantly dispersed, and the inner scale armor could not absorb all the impact, making him fall heavily to the ground with a sweet taste in his throat. As expected, those mechanically modified guys are all self-destructive perverts. Chapter 72 Extra. You are listening at NovelsReturning. Boom! Tao Yu's embarrassed figure fell heavily to the ground together with the body of the alien queen. The violent collision made Tao Yu hear the sound of bones breaking inside his body, and all the force that had been used to protect his vitals collapsed. Fortunately, the queen's corpse absorbed the wave in front, and with the support of the bear's shape, the strength protected the vital points, and Tao Yu also had the inner scale armor on her body to protect her chest and back. The injuries were not exaggerated, coupled with the willingness to pour in as if it was free of money. Several internal bleedings that might have worsened were quickly repaired. It's okay. Seeing that there were still 2,000 willing power units left in reserve, Tao Yu reluctantly stood up. He used his willpower sparingly. He used his willpower to treat an injury that might have caused severe bleeding. Then he killed the seemingly difficult pioneer with one blow, and then used his willpower to regain his strength and fight back against the alien queen. In fact, all changes occurred within a few seconds, giving full play to all of its advantages. The consumption is much better than when the Li family had to continue fighting. The strong body protection and the inner scale armor have done a great job, otherwise the remaining wish power would probably be wasted. Directly using a physical strength potion originally obtained from Li Zilin, Tao Yu also used physical strength to slowly repair the remaining injuries. There are also 2 cans of canned beef and a bottle of water, so I can replenish some more. Looking back at the body dragged back by Xiao He, Tao Yu reluctantly reached out to touch Xiao He and gave him some rewards. Well done this time. But except for Xiao He, the other 3 aliens had been taken away by the self-destruction, and acid blood splashed all over the floor. If the alien queen hadn't been blocking it, Tao Yu would have been stained. Tao Yu didn't feel any distress about this. Those 3 were originally disposable items, and their domestication level was much worse than Xiao Hei's. Touching the pottery jade above the cave, from this distance, you can vaguely feel that they have become unstable under the influence of the queen's pheromones. Tao Yu's original plan was for one of them to do some last-ditch damage to see if it would self-destruct. While the other 2 were mainly responsible for being his human shields, but the queen's pheromones made Tao Yu unsure if he would suffer rebellion if he ordered them to attack the queen. In comparison, Xiao Hei's mood was much more stable. The consumption of the box of canned beef was not in vain, and he was not affected by the queen's pheromones at all. Fortunately, we dragged back a body, otherwise this guy would have been blown up too, and he would have really lost a lot of blood. Tao Yu tore open the can of beef and continued to replenish her strength and recover from her injuries. Then he began to remotely command Xiao He to add bags to prevent anything bad from happening, but then Tao Yu felt the movement outside the cave. It seemed that an alien outside had sensed the explosion in the nest and was coming crazily. Tao Yu couldn't help but sigh. I'll go up first. Remember to bring the things from the body over and tell them that the murderer ran towards the grassland. Later, Tao Yu grabbed the remains of the alien queen's wish that had been condensed after her death, and absorbed it without even looking at it before escaping into the shadows again. Following the huge gap dug out in the tree roots, he penetrated into the rainforest above the cave. What the hell? Crouching behind a tree trunk in a rainforest, Tao Yu sensed some information about the remains of the alien queen's wish, and felt a little speechless. Forget about incomplete skills, Tao Yu has only had complete skills from zombies so far. What the hell is the missing information on this skill that promotes reproduction? The key is still the maternal body. Get lost. Tao Yu directly erased the information completely. With a willingness of about 200 and close to 300, it can only be regarded as making do. About the monthly income of his parents, it's pretty good to have this amount of drops from wish creatures, but if he only had the income from the queen, he would be at a loss. Things in the abyss are really about appearance. Tao Yu thought of what he had gained at the military base before. He had invested little and gained a lot, so he could be considered unintentional. There was also Lizard, who was almost robbed on the way, and the harvest was also very impressive. In fact, whether it was Lizard, the original Joseph, or the 2 inner city pioneers this time, in terms of overall strength alone, they were definitely stronger than that zombie, but compared to the zombie's defense and HP, they didn't have the ability to block Tao Yu's killing blow, nor did they have Cao Shaolin's perception, so a sneak attack was almost like an instant kill, easy and freehand. Does this count as a Civil War fantasy god? Tao Yu was also a little unable to complain. Some rough-skinned and fleshy monsters, or some monsters that live in large groups, would be awkward to deal with on their own, but they seem to have a special attack on the pioneers. I almost failed to kill the alien queen before because her head was too big, so it was a bit forced, but then, he felt that Xiao He had entered the distance of mind-to-heart connection, and he quickly brought the corpse in front of him and put it down, and at the same time hissed to claim credit. Tao Yu can also feel its general meaning. Those aliens who rushed back because of the explosion in their lair were deceived by the message it conveyed that the attackers fled to the grassland, and rushed out like crazy to kill the grassland. It seems that although ordinary aliens are cunning, they are not very smart. Although they trusted Xiao He, they did not expect how Xiao He knew that the attacker had fled to the grassland anyway. I just killed him with anger. The zombie world originally had barriers against willing creatures. Before, these three pioneers spent their willing power to open holes in the nest so that they could come and go freely. As they die, the passage gradually heals. Now that they have left the zombie world and gone to the grassland, there is a high probability that they will not be able to come back. Although it does not fundamentally solve the problem, it can be regarded as delaying a little time for the zombie world. It's really well done. Tao Yu didn't give any more substantial rewards. He hasn't fully recovered yet. Let's see what this guy has. I don't know if I can make up for my losses. Strength belt, enhances the core strength of the human body, can increase the burst of strength in many places, reduce the possibility of waist and abdominal muscle strain, and can absorb 300 willpower. Concentration necklace, it can increase the speed of mental recovery to a certain extent. Active activation can achieve one-time recovery. The activation cooling time is 10 hours, and it can absorb 1,000 wishes. Owl leather gloves, enhance the defense of the palm, have the effect of fitting the skin, increase the strength of the palm to a certain extent, and can absorb 500 willpower. 3 quite good pieces of equipment, especially the concentration necklace, for Tao Yu whose many skills require a lot of mental energy. Their value is probably comparable to the warlord's gun. It can save a lot of energy recovery. Consumption in emergencies. Hang up the necklace and tie the belt. Because his current condition was already bad, Tao Yu concentrated on using the concentration necklace on the spot. A mint-like cooling sensation rushed directly to his forehead, and then he felt refreshed. The original drowsiness disappeared, which was quite good. Tao Yu, who felt refreshed, also felt satisfied when she saw the owl leather gloves that fit perfectly against her skin after putting them on. It looks the same as not wearing it, which is highly misleading. Although the various blessings themselves are not strong, it can almost be seen as carrying a weapon with you, and it also has the effect of armor. It's just a pity that the mechanically modified one exploded again. We have to find a way to get some anti-explosion ones. The harvest this time was quite good, but Tao Yu still felt a bit regretful. The impact resistance of inner scale armor is very good, and the chest and abdomen are obviously much better than other areas. It is not in vain to use this kind of women's product, but unfortunately, the range of protection is too small. It would be great if there was a full-body one. Tao Yu unconsciously thought of the tight-fitting combat uniforms worn by the eldest son and eldest daughter of the Sun family, which must have been extremely defensive. Let's go back. After the injury was almost recovered, Tao Yu's stomach growled again. He directly took out a tube of nutritional ointment and squeezed it into his mouth. Along with the digestive ability of Tenjin Gong Hai, his physical strength was quickly restored. These nutritional pastes, which are only about the size of disposable toothpaste, were all found on the corpse and should be used to replenish physical strength. The effect is not as good as the stamina potion with only 2 left, but it is better than Chibu Chi pill. It is considered to be between the two. With a total of more than a dozen, it can be considered as some extra additions. Chapter 73 Idiot. You are listening at NovelsReturning. The early morning sun shone in the garden. Tao Yu continued to pour this morning's share of blood on the place where Chao Shaolin's corpse was raised, and then ate a new can of canned beef. Nutritional ointments and stamina potions are rare items that are difficult to obtain for Tao Yu. Combined with the Tenjin swallowing technique, they can be used almost as willing power. They can be effective in wartime and are much more cost-effective. This time the surprise attack on the alien lair consumed so much less energy. In addition to the short burst time, the stamina potion was also very effective. When this can be recovered through normal food, it is better to save some money. The alien Xiao He was lying on the side of the garden and continued to smear the wounds on his body with saliva, which had condensed into a white film, after eating some zombies. Although the alien did not have Tao Yu's ability to recover, it was much faster than normal creatures. It's just that the scars caused by its shell made the originally smooth metallic exoskeleton look bumpy, making the already ugly thing even uglier. Hey, what did you do at night? Did you rush into the pile of zombies and roll around? Jack's voice came from behind. Looking at Tao Yu's tattered combat uniform with scorch marks, He couldn't help but be shocked. Why did this guy become so miserable after not seeing him for one night? The hair also seems to have some burn marks. I want you to take care of it. Tao Yu glanced sideways at the sand mouth. I'm ready to go, come here and say goodbye. I hope it's not the last time. Because the future is uncertain, Jack also looks a little melancholy. What? Are you still carrying those burdens? That there was a hint of sarcasm in Tao Yu's words. Hey, let's do our best and obey fate. Jack sighed, not denying that there were a lot of burdens on the team. He is a former CIA task force and has done a lot of dirty work. Professionally speaking, he is not an upright person, but as a person with the protagonist's template and personality, even in this apocalypse of moral collapse, he still has a strong personal will and adheres to his own principles. Sooner or later you will be dragged to death by them. I have also decided that I will do my best to send them to the base this time. I won't care about it anymore. If your company builds a gathering place, it will be handed over to your company. Jack did not refute Tao Yu's words. Since he had built this gathering place and assumed the responsibilities, he would still fulfill them before the responsibilities were handed over. It's not that he doesn't know the risks and difficulties, he just wants to stand on the last duty. What on earth did you do? Was it an explosion or a fire? Were you out last night? Jack changed the topic, but Ben just changed it casually, and he still noticed some more details. Not only Tao Yu, the alien also had many new wounds on his body. It was obvious last night was out, and it was intense. At least it's impossible for zombies to leave these behind. It's none of your business. If you want to leave, leave quickly. Tao Yu waved her hand impatiently. Okay, I'm going to prepare. You have to be careful even if you are alone. Jack seemed to have thought of something and pursed his lips without saying much. Go ahead. At noon, watching people coming out of the gathering place one after another, Jack drove a pickup truck to distract some zombies, and then Tommy drove a container truck over. Tao Yu also knew that there should be no problems on their way. There is probably no need to worry about aliens in the short term. The impact of simple zombies on such a large truck is still limited. Although the environment on the way is a bit worse, the cargo box will definitely be very stuffy after entering the Gobi, and people may even die. However, this has nothing to do with Tao Yu, who has always been watching silently with the alien. The people at the gathering place were also frightened by the alien Tao Yu squatting next to them. They didn't dare to look at him, and they all hurriedly got into the car. Gone. Jack finally drove back and past the hotel lobby, lowered the window and honked the horn twice. Bon voyage. See you later, remember to teach me boxing skills next time we meet. The engine roared, and the pickup truck followed closely behind the truck, then overtook it and walked in front of the truck. Tao Yu looked at the zombies chasing the car outside, listened to the friction sound of their movement, and chuckled. No wonder the will of these fragments will choose the chosen one, but unfortunately they are too weak to save the world. Go find me some cans and come back and get your own bag. Tao Yu kicked Xiao He, who was lying next to him, and asked the latter to carry 2 backpacks diligently, and quickly climbed upstairs. Then he got out of the window and walked towards the distance like a gecko on the wall of the building. Climb away. Tao Yu slowly picked up a stool and placed it in the garden. She leaned on the chair and charged her watch while listening to the music from the radio station in Las Vegas. Relaxed a bit, the abyss is really a bit interesting. On the other side, Senkei, the black man in the pickup truck, couldn't help but said to Jack, who was driving. Boss, is brother Tao Yu just staying there alone? What on earth does he want to do? Trailblazers must have some skills, who knows? Jack had heard Tao Yu talk about refining corpses, but he certainly wouldn't talk about it everywhere. After Zhang Wei and his party came, of course Tao Yu's name was corrected. Hey, it would be great if he came with us. He has great mobility. I hope so, but he has helped us. Ah. How? Who knows? Jack turned his head to look at the zombies outside the window. The convoy is about to leave the city, but it has not encountered any attacks from the aliens. This made Jack, who was originally tense, have some guesses. He had felt Tao Yu's fighting power. The zombies that were the source were all killed. I don't know what he did last night. He was in a mess, and the alien was also covered with scars, and as a former CIA, Jack could see that the wounds on the alien had claw marks. Claw marks on this kind of exoskeleton are likely to be aliens. That guy went out overnight to hunt and kill nearby aliens to help, which relieved a lot of his own pressure. If you don't want to say it, don't say it. His personality is really awkward, a hypocritical idiot. Roared at the strong wind sounded like a tiger's roar, and Tao Yu kept dancing in the hotel lobby, and the fist wind was stirring in the lobby. With the bonus of the new talent, fist intention, his training efficiency has skyrocketed. It's a pity that he doesn't have much willpower left, even though he has physical potions and nutritional cream. Tao Yu only has 500 willpower units left for emergency use, but compared with his current strength, the willpower that can be used for training is just a normal daily consumption. More importantly, it has allowed him to fully adapt to the matching of his own skills and fist intention in the past few days. It's almost done. I'll go back after the corpse is resurrected today, and then I can hand in a wave of tasks in exchange for rewards. After Tao Yu completed this set of exercises, he slowly played the closing move, but at this moment, Tao Yu looked up at the top of the hotel and moved his ears. There was some slight movement from above, which made Tao Yu raise his eyebrows. Looking at the direction of the garden, Tao Yu winked at Xiao He, and then they moved towards the top of the hotel together. The aliens have strong lurking abilities, but Tao Yu's 2 lurking abilities are even stronger. Even if they don't hide in the shadows, they move silently. They quickly approached the upper level and heard some light conversations. The aliens that Brother Chow mentioned are good at sneak attacks. Be careful. I heard that they were killing people like crazy on the grassland. Many people have fled back. I hope they haven't come yet. After hearing the voices, Tao Yu also knew who these guys were. It turned out to be those 3 unlucky guys. They wanted to coerce the natives to be cannon fodder, but they were caught instead. Later, they begged Chaoyang Society and asked Lin Chao and others to come and plead for mercy. After knowing that these were the 3 non-threatening guys, Tao Yu took the initiative to cough. The 3 people were shocked. Who? Chapter 74 Boss. You are listening at NovelsReturning. Tao Yu slowly walked out of the dark staircase and appeared in front of the 3 of them. Pioneer. Looking at Tao Yu's tattered combat uniform, the 3 of them seemed to be slightly relieved. Have Lin Chao and the others gone back? Tao Yu asked. Since they chose to come here at this time, they should have got the news. There is a high probability that Lin Chao and the others chose to return. Do you know Brother Chow? After hearing this, the 3 of them relaxed a little more. In addition to knowing an acquaintance, the most important thing is that through this information they can confirm that this is indeed an outer city pioneer. Then one of the 3 people who looked more mature, a man who was obviously only 18 years old but looked to be in his 30s, said in a serious voice. Brother, since you all know Brother Chow, let me give you a brief reminder. Don't make random noises to scare people in the wild. People will die. Almost immediately after, another tall and thin man in the team also spoke. That's right, if I cough suddenly, my shuttle will almost sweep over me, and my death will be in vain. The last one was short and thin. Looking at the dwarf who was less than 1.5 meters tall, he also pulled up his collar to reveal part of his tattoos while speaking. We, the 4 elites of West City, should be famous in the outer city. I wonder if you have heard of them. But after saying that, he was immediately hit on the head by that mature guy. Idiot, the 3rd child is dead. Oh, yes, we are the 3 elites of West City. Tao Yu originally came here to check on the situation and then chased a few people away, but her mouth twitched when she saw the scene in front of her. Where did the 3 top quality come from? Perhaps their slightly arrogant words made Xiao He feel that his master was offended. At this time, he also followed Tao Yu and climbed out from the dark staircase. Because the alien itself is mainly black, the image against the background of the dark staircase is really eye-catching. The fangs in the mouth, the sticky saliva, and the low roar that kept pulsing on the lips really made the 3 heroes of Xiqing over there instantly mute their fire, and they unconsciously wanted to raise their guns. Don't worry, they don't bite. Tao Yu reached out and touched Xiao Hei's head, and Xiao He nuzzled him like a dog, then stopped next to Tao Yu. This immediately made the three heroes of Xiqing open their mouths. Why can he have such impressive skills despite being a poor guy from the outer city? Aren't the outer city pioneers able to shake up with the basic breathing technique? Sorry, we were a little loud just now. The old-looking Dajia, who was aging before he got old, immediately assumed a groveling posture, and in an instant he seemed to have turned into a simple and honest old farmer. The other two people also looked downcast. Three heroes of West City. Tao Yu raised his eyebrows. You misunderstood. We were also afraid that others would look down upon us, so we chose a title for ourselves. After all, there is a 3/4 chance that we are from other districts. Dajia looked a little embarrassed at this time, while Erji and Xiaojia also laughed in apology. However, Tao Yu also felt that these words were true. At least his spiritual sense did not notice any abnormal emotions, so he probably wasn't lying. These three guys couldn't hide it from him. Okay, now that you're back safely, hurry up and leave. Don't make any noise and cause trouble when you leave. Tao Yu was too lazy to communicate with these three people and waved his hand casually. Okay, I will follow your orders. Dajia agreed, but then asked quickly and briefly. But I wonder if I can ask you, sir, if the aliens have come to kill you? As he spoke, he kept glancing at the alien figure at Tao Yu's feet. They haven't had a face-to-face encounter with the alien yet, but the basic image information of the alien is already clear, and it should look like this. In their opinion, Tao Yu should have taken over the task of cultivating the alien and understanding its habits. This required the three of them to leave quickly and not disturb him. That was perfectly normal. It's not much for the time being. If you delay it for a long time, it might be over. Thank you. The three of them didn't do any ink. After thanking them, they went directly into the stairwell and climbed up to the roof. When passing Xiao He, the three of them seemed a little nervous, but they all passed one after another. Tao Yu watched the three people leave, not wanting to cause trouble on the last day of raising the body. However, just as he watched the three of them go up the dark stairs to the roof, he heard the creak of the iron door opening, and then prepared to go down. But suddenly I heard the exclamations of the three people above. Oh my God! What is that? Someone is coming. Tao Yu frowned when he heard this. What's going on? Then he gave Xiao He a wink, and Xiao He immediately climbed towards the roof. Tao Yu followed Xiao He and climbed onto the roof. Although I don't think these three guys can do anything to me, it's always right to be careful. When Tao Yu came to the roof and looked at the surprised eyes of the three people, his pupils shrank slightly, and he knew why the three of them were like this. At the end of his sight, he saw two locomotive-like flying figures in the sky, flying rapidly towards the city. It's really flying. It should be about 100 meters above the ground. The dark motorcycle has a streamlined shape. It looks a bit like a motorboat on the sea, but it can float directly in the air and move at high speed. Tao Yu has excellent eyesight and can see a handsome figure on each floating motorboat. Familiar black tight combat uniform, handsome and cold delicate face, it is the two young masters and young ladies of the floating city. Tao Yu never expected that after they had explored the world fragments of Pandora in the south, they turned around and came here. Although Tao Yu can communicate with Xiao He can't understand human language now, so he doesn't know that one of the three people in the nest went back to ask for help. Now suddenly seeing the two people with the strongest status and strength in this development area, Tao Yu still feels a little stressed. When Tao Yu saw the faces of the two people clearly, they almost turned their heads to look at Tao Yu at the same time, then slightly adjusted the direction, and instantly accelerated towards this side. Come here, come here. What is it? This big brother, do you know what's going on? That the three heroes of Xiqing were also nervous. The two from the floating city. Everyone came over, and Tao Yu casually said something, which frightened the three people and made them tremble. As the two approached, they could see clearly, and they dared not even breathe, but stood aside with their heads down, looking very humble. Swoosh! Accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air and a burst of violent airflow, the two floating motorboats had already arrived on the roof, and after a graceful deceleration, they stopped above the few people. Then the young lady, with a curvy figure, flipped over and landed on the roof. What made Tao Yu's pupils shrink was that when she flipped over, in addition to the vibrating waves, 7 strange weapons with strange shapes also followed her. After landing and standing firmly, the 7 strange weapons also spread out like a fan and floated behind her, making Tao Yu look confused. I thought the equipment style of their siblings was the combat uniform of Gantz, but you told me it was Ionia? Looking at the figure that looked somewhat sexy against the tight combat uniform, and the top-notch appearance, Tao Yu looked at the other party's ruby-like eyes and made a preliminary definition in his mind: rich woman, beautiful, young, powerful. Chapter 75 Hungry. You are listening at NovelsReturning. Sun Shiyu glanced at Tao Yu, looking at his eyes that were constantly looking up and down, and his ruby-like eyes flashed. Tao Yu, right? I remember your information. Sun Shiyu's voice was pleasant, but also very cold, and paired with her red pupils, she had a different kind of charm. His performance and words are obviously very cold, but it makes people think of some unhealthy images at first glance. Tao Yu's heart froze, and she understood what skills or talents it might be. She quickly gathered her thoughts, lowered her head and said in a grateful tone. I have not yet thanked Miss Sun for her support in this mission terminal, which has helped me a lot. Tao Yu's watch was given by the other party, along with a startup capital, and free and half-price quotas equivalent to more than 10,000 willpower when studying at Wanlu Dojo. At least for now, Tao Yu has received a lot of benefits from them. It was the company that cheated him, but these two people gave Tao Yu good senses for the time being. Of course, their good looks are also a plus. The 3 heroes of Shicheng next to them were filled with admiration when they saw that such a high-ranking man could actually remember the elder brother next to him. Sun Shiyu was very beautiful, but they didn't dare to take another look at her, let alone talk to her. The identity gap is too big. It's nothing, you deserve it, the investment doesn't even count. Sun Shiyu glanced at Xiao He, who was wary next to him, and said in an approving tone. The control is very good. Among the aliens that have been tamed so far, you are the best. Do you have the ability to wish? Yes, but the skill is a bit expensive and I can't train too much at the same time. Tao Yu is also afraid of catching a strong man, so he added slightly. This made Sun Shiyu give him a subtle look, and then the corners of his mouth curved into a nice smile. I know you choose a partner because you are very talented, because you are afraid of trouble. In fact, you don't have to worry too much. I won't force you to train if you don't want to. Ahem, you are really good at judging people, but what I said is also the truth. Tao Yu was not too embarrassed to be seen through. At least as far as what these two people were doing so far, it was indeed mainly about inducement, and the pattern was much bigger than that of Joseph and the others. Mobilize subjective initiative by throwing money. On the contrary, they will put some pressure on the inner city blazers. Okay, it just so happens that you have also tamed the alien. I want to ask you something. If there is valid information, I will be rewarded. Please tell me. An alien queen has died nearby. Did you react to the alien? Hearing this, Tao Yu also knew why the two of them came here. Although he had brother phase equipment under his dirty and tattered combat uniform, Tao Yu said without changing his expression. No, I have fought against ordinary aliens a few times, but I have never encountered them recently. Recently, I have been collecting information about a chosen one. Putting aside this problem, Tao Yu directly started selling Jack. I originally planned to sell to them, but now that I have encountered it, it is actually better. It is a face-to-face transaction, and there is no need to worry about the middlemen taking kickbacks. The chosen one. Sure enough, what Tao Yu said immediately attracted attention. Even Sun Shiqing, who had been riding a suspended motorboat and seemed ready to leave after asking, also landed on the ground at this time. He also had a set of equipment similar to his sister's behind him, but the style was slightly different. He didn't speak after he came down and just stood aside. Yes, a chosen one. How do you know about the chosen one? Tao Yu originally just wanted to bring the topic to this, but Sun Shiyu's casual question made Tao Yu's heart tremble. Although the question was light and seemed casual, Tao Yu also knew that this little girl shouldn't be what a fool. When I first came in, I was with brother Joseph and the others. Telling the truth at this time is obviously the most effective, since Li Zilin could talk to him casually. it shouldn't be a secret from the people in the inner city, and he didn't say anything about keeping it secret. I did ask Joseph many questions. Joseph, that there was a subtle expression on Sun Shiyu's pretty face, as if she was remembering the unlucky guy who died when he returned from the first mission, and then he stared at Tao Yu's face with his beautiful red pupils. You have done a good job, you have good talent, and your ability is not bad. Now it seems that you are also very lucky. I like to deal with people who are lucky. After saying that, she was not in a hurry to ask about the chosen one, but said in a calm tone. We like to have clear rewards and punishments when doing things. Rather than force, we prefer to use rewards to drive your motivation. Now that the chosen one is an important part of the new gathering place. You can first put forward the rewards and demands you want. Tao Yu likes their way of doing things. Of course it's better to be so direct. Tao Yu also didn't mention the reward first. Instead, he slowly told Jack's situation and said in a regretful tone, I didn't know that the chosen one was so important, so I felt that he brought too much burden, and I didn't dare to go with him. I didn't know if something would happen to him on the way. A military base with water. Nice. Sun Shiyu noticed another element of Tao Yu's intelligence. She touched her delicate chin with her slender fingers, thought for a moment, and then chuckled. It's not so easy for the chosen one to get into trouble in his own world. We'll go there now. Okay, little rascal, tell me what you want. TSK, it seems that it won't work if you give me less. Although Sun Shiyu is only 18 years old now, she is also a flower-like age, and innocence is the main color, but it is obvious that as a child of a large family in the floating city, she has to learn more than just some combat skills. As far as the current contact is concerned, Tao Yu can feel a little pressure even with the experience of being a social animal in his previous life, and they are obviously the same age, and they were born on the same day of the same month of the same year. The other party actually called him a little rascal in an old-fashioned way, which made Tao Yu a little speechless, but Tao Yu couldn't get the upper hand, and now it was time to ask for the benefits, so he could only lower his head and say, I'm short of willpower, a lot of willpower. It would be best if I could have some skills. For ordinary pioneers, willpower actually has a limit on its use. The best ones are of course some excellent skills that match their talents, and it would be best if they can form a system with extraordinary effects, and some willpower items with special effects are also quite practical. For example, Tao Yu's clothes are now a patchwork of things. Putting willpower first is somewhat beyond Sun Shiyu's expectations. If it were someone from the inner city, they would definitely not ask for such a reward. Well, you people from the outer city are not very knowledgeable after all. Sun Shiyu thought about it, pulled out a magnetic card, and threw it to Tao Yu. Is 100,000 enough? You probably can't digest more. Taking the willpower magnetic card, which was obviously made of high-end materials, and feeling the amount in it, Tao Yu's heart was pounding. It felt like someone was slapping him in the face with a dozen bills. Jack can actually sell for so much money, he's rich. It's my fault for not escorting him there in person. However, even though 100,000 willpower is already the richest thing Tao Yu has ever had, he still said softly for this rare opportunity. If it can be more, it will be even better. You really don't even ask for anything, I've reminded you. Sun Shiyu was not angry, but laughed out loud without holding back her expression. The willpower is 100,000, and the chosen one and the base are as you said, then I can agree to one more small condition for you, let's go. After saying that, Sun Shiyu jumped up nimbly, and the hovercraft automatically drove quickly and landed under her. After riding it, she waved her hand and left directly, and Sun Shiqing, who had been standing next to her with her hands on her chest, showed a smile on her expressionless face at this time. He glanced at Tao Yu, shook his head and said, Sister is right, you are indeed a fool. As he finished speaking, he also climbed onto the hovercraft. For us, even if your whole family wants to move into the inner city, it's just a matter of a word. Think about it carefully before you ask. This is a rare opportunity. Although Sun Shiqing didn't say much, she kindly reminded Tao Yu, and then followed her sister. Tao Yu frantically absorbed the power of the card, and couldn't help curling her lips as she watched them leave. For me, the power of the will is indeed no less than the skill. As long as the power of the will is enough, and a few skills are secondary deified, then everything will come, but since they all said so, I can't show it too obviously. Normal people in the outer city really can't consume the power of the will quickly in a short period of time. If the skills are not enough, do they all strengthen the basic breathing method? It will enter the marginal effect later. As for moving into the inner city, Tao Yu feels that he can do it sooner or later with his own ability, so he is not in a hurry. It's a bit of a stretch to force yourself to move in if you don't have enough strength. Otherwise, you need another skill. Hey, rich woman, so beautiful. After absorbing the wish power magnetic card in his hand and feeling the wish power that he had never experienced before, Tao Yu suddenly felt that Sun Shiyu was the most beautiful woman in the world, the #1 rich woman on the list, and he would not accept any rebuttal. Chapter 76 Second Deification, 5 updates, please subscribe. You are listening at NovelsReturning. You're still here because you want to rob. Tao Yu looked at the 3 heroes of Xiqing next to him who were almost laughing, and asked directly, and also raised the magnetic card that had absorbed all the wish power. It can only be said that it is worthy of 100,000 wishes. Even if it is pure without any messy information, it still uses a special magnetic card. It took Tao Yu some time to suck it up. However, when I thought about it, this was a card that the rich woman had randomly picked out, and she didn't even put it into it specifically. She might have carried it with her, maybe just for the convenience of giving out rewards. No, we, the 3 great heroes of West City, are here to congratulate our eldest brother for being recognized by a big shot. We also want to ask if it is difficult to get to that base. The 3 heroes of Xiqing quickly freed their hands, saying that they had no ideas, and then the big hero asked for advice in a flattering manner. For outsider city pioneers, survival during this period was actually quite difficult. There are big snakes and aliens in the rainforest, and in addition to the aliens on the grassland, there is also the possibility of being infected by black water. After all, this zombie world is really friendly to outside city pioneers, but if there is no gathering place, the average strength of the outer city pioneers will be really stressful for survival. Now they just want to go ahead and take advantage of the trap, and if you go there in advance, you might be able to pick up some simple tasks, such as carrying goods between the 2 worlds. It shouldn't be difficult now. You won't be sure when the aliens come. Tao Yu's smiling face made the 3 of them change their expressions. After thanking them, they headed towards the direction Tao Yu pointed out before without looking back. When Tao Yu explained to Sun Shiyu, the 3 of them also listened carefully and knew the approximate location. But if they only relied on their legs, it would still take them a little longer to arrive. Tao Yu watched the 3 of them climb over the roof and get away, then walked back to the stairwell and locked the iron door on the roof. After the body is picked up, he can go over and check in, first to see if that idiot Jack is on the road, and then to see if there are any suitable tasks. Tao Yu's enthusiasm was really aroused when he received such a huge fortune with 100,000 yuan. The one who can give so much should mainly be the first, chosen one, and there may not be so much income later. Tao Yu thought in his mind, now that I have 100,000, I can maintain high-intensity training while thinking about my next step. At present, both talents are very cost-effective. If you have enough willpower, it is actually better to give priority to the talent. However, the talent is more about growth. The stronger you are, the stronger you will be. There are still some shortcomings in real-time combat power. Tao Yu hesitated for a moment. Although there are already several pioneers in the inner city, Chao Shaolin, zombies, and the alien queen have also been dealt with, so they are considered rich in experience, but Tao Yu has not swelled, and his shortcomings are still obvious. Therefore, he has no intention of continuing to save 100,000 willpower to accumulate enough talents for a second deification. As long as it is an investment in your own strength, it will not be a loss. While returning to the lobby on the 1st floor, Tao Yu said to the gangster again, "Go ahead and bring me some food back." Xiao He bowed his head to Tao Yu, and then climbed up the stairs with his backpack. Tao Yu, on the other hand, exhaled slowly after Xiao He left, and then immediately concentrated his mental power on basic breathing method change. Excluding talents, in terms of the consumption of secondary skill deification, this should be the most cost-effective one. But even the cheap, basic breathing technique, still poured out nearly 30,000 willpower. The basic breathing technique change skill group that originally had a hint of gold was instantly rendered even more dazzling. Then Tao Yu felt that every breath he took seemed to change. The bloody smell filling his lungs brought a burning feeling, as if fire was about to burst out of his mouth. It was obviously not cold. But Tao Yu found that some white mist appeared in his breath, and it's getting thicker. My whole body was sweating, and white mist seemed to be coming out from my whole body. It's like the pores are opening and breathing. At the same time, there was also a sour and numb feeling coming from the heart. Basic breathing method change too. Your breathing has undergone essential changes. You can absorb trace amounts of free energy in the air to maintain your own life. Breathing is no longer limited to the mouth and nose, and you have strong resistance to toxins, significantly increases the upper limit of the body and the upper limit of the lungs, which can increase qi and blood and strengthen the efficiency of the lungs. As the level of the breathing method increases, the upper limit can be increased additionally. Tao Yu felt as if his entire perception had changed. Along with his breathing, the pores all over his body seemed to be inhaling and exhaling. Tiny dots gathered in his lungs from the pores all over his body and his breathing, and then formed a trickle of warm currents and spread all over the body again. It's just a pity that the amount is too small. Tao Yu felt this unique breathing method, this unique way, and felt both joy and regret in her heart. What makes me happy is that besides eating and injecting my willpower, I finally have another way to get energy. Well, the description of trace amount is really trace amount. At most, it is to ensure that one can barely starve to death without eating, drinking, or willpower, which is really just enough to maintain life. It can only be said that it has given me a new channel. The most important thing about the second deification is the improvement of various upper limits. As the skill level increases, the upper limit will also increase, which is really good. It is estimated that it is impossible to learn a stronger breathing method by spending 30,000 willpower, but it can complete the second deification. It may have something to do with the energy in the world itself, but the trace is indeed a trace. If it continues to be strengthened, there may be a qualitative change, but the demand for the next time is too much. Tao Yu felt the tens of millions of willpower consumed by the three deifications, and he was speechless. The consumption of the second deification was about 200 times that of the first time, and the third time directly soared to thousands of times that of the second time. But thinking of the original consumption gradient of willpower, this seems normal. In terms of cost-effectiveness alone, the second deification is indeed not as cost-effective as the first time, but it is undeniable that the second deification has once again made the skills qualitatively changed. Although the free energy inhaled is only a trace, it also represents a road in front of him. In addition to this, the extremely strong resistance to toxins, and the ability to maintain life by breathing even in water or even in places without air, can also be regarded as a significant enhancement of survival and adaptability. However, although such a desperate place can sustain life, it cannot support one's high-intensity physical consumption, which is a bit regrettable. After that, greatly increasing the upper limit of the body and the upper limit of the lungs, as well as increasing the efficiency of strengthening the lungs with blood and qi, are also enough to help at the moment. Now the willpower has arrived. With the support of the new talent, fist intention, it is a good time for a wave of improvement. The ability to increase the upper limit is urgently needed. However, looking at his more than 70,000 willpower, Tao Yu hesitated again and looked at ambush modified. This is a skill obtained from the alien. The consumption of deification is cheaper than the two latent skills, but it can combine the shadow power born from the two latents, so that the first sneak attack after escaping into the shadow has an extremely powerful effect. Alas, it's a pity that this skill itself does not produce shadow power. According to the situation of the basic breathing method, the second deification is estimated to be unlikely to increase. Although Tao Yu felt a little sorry, if he chose lurking, he would be foolish if he chose the willpower of his daily training. It would be a real loss if he did not turn the potential into strength after increasing the upper limit. If you choose ambush, you can still have 30,000 extra wishes to accelerate. After hesitating for a while, I still chose the second transformation of ambush. The next moment, Tao Yu felt a chill, which was somewhat similar to the feeling when he escaped into the shadow. The most important thing was that his shadow began to shake violently, and then slowly stopped after a while. It seemed to become deeper. Ambush revised 2, the shadow can store the scattered shadow power, and can control the shadow power to a certain extent. Chapter 77 An Unexpected Surprise. You are listening at NovelsReturning. It's a bit surprising, it's more practical than expected. Tao Yu watched a ball of black mist floating at her fingertips. She shook it casually and dissipated the shadow power. There was a scratch on the wall next to it. There was some black mist remaining on the edge of the scratch, which seemed to be slowly eroding the gap, and it slowly dissipated after a while. The second deification of ambush did not bring about the birth of the power of shadow, but it brought Tao Yu the ability to store and control it. Ambush change. Before the second deification, you can attack in your shadow with the power of the shadow accumulated when you escape into the shadow, whether killing zombies, inner city pioneers or alien queens. They all played a huge role for Tao Yu. Because of this, Tao Yu would immediately think of this ability after satisfying the breathing method. After all, the secondary deification of a skill like 5 shapes unified is more expensive than the talent, so it must be put at the back. As a result, Tao Yu felt that the improvement effect of this ability was actually better than the basic breathing method that he had attached great importance to at the beginning. In the past, if you escaped into the shadows and did not attack, the gathered power of the shadows would dissipate directly, but now you are storing this power in your own shadow. And it can be used and even controlled at any time. Although there is an upper limit to the stored shadow power, it will be determined based on one's own mental strength and skill level, but this undoubtedly greatly enhances flexibility, and even if the power of shadow decays quickly after leaving the body, it still has the ability to add bullets, but the effect of the blessing is far less than that of the close body. In addition, it also comes with a little upper limit of spiritual power as an added bonus. Hey, the willpower is still not enough. Now that the 2 hidden skills of deification are superimposed, it feels like a small horse pulling a big cart. The birth of the power of shadow is still a little less. Although Tao Yu was very satisfied with the little surprise brought by ambush, he directly changed his name to Shadow Control. But I still feel that my willingness is not enough. However, as a poor person from the outer city, Tao Yu also knew that he had achieved such gains in just 2 months after awakening. Under normal circumstances, it would take a long time to earn 100,000 willpower based on one's own strength, but this time it was almost free of charge. It seems like all the benefits in the neighborhood are gone now. If I really want to work on my willpower, apart from hugging the lap of a rich woman to take on missions, I'm afraid I'll just keep hunting aliens. Tao Yu settled the accounts and sighed. Count the time spent traveling and searching. Even if you calculate that you can accumulate a set of alien skills in an average of 10 days, and then include the subsidies for hunting aliens, I'm afraid it will take more than half a year to save enough. This is because the skills in the new development area are not too heavy, and the rich woman's alien breeding business has not yet developed. Otherwise, the hunting harvest of the aliens later will be really worthless. Real income still depends on tasks and land reclamation, but the current strength is still a bit unstable. Tao Yu made an evaluation in his mind, and he opened up Wasteland to get the heart of the broken world, and got the skill of corpse refining. After completing the mission, I found that it chosen one and a suitable base location in exchange for 100,000 willpower. These are more practical than Kohaha brushing aliens. You still need a windfall to get rich, but windfalls are not so easy to come by. After digesting the changes in his own skills, Xiao He also came back with a dozen food packages. When Tao Yu saw Xiao He carrying food back, his eyes suddenly lit up and he discovered a new business opportunity. Wait a minute, it looks like they really want to use that military base as a gathering place. If this happens, the gathering place will be in dire need, and I'm afraid there will be a lot of lack of supplies. How many pioneers are there? Moving back and forth every 5 days is not enough. Transportation. The income from getting a truck for transportation in the early stage will probably far exceed the income from hunting aliens. In today's world, an ordinary pistol can be sold for 100 willpower. If I can transport a truck there and break bones, I can make a lot of money. Well, there is still a relationship between supply and demand. I have to find goods that won't drop in price directly after a truckload. With the riding skill, I can drive a large car directly. By relying on transportation to accumulate basic skills and talents to the second level of deification, my life-saving ability should be enough for me to open up Wasteland. Tao Yu thought to herself that it would be okay to open up Wasteland now, but since she has talent and potential, there is no need to be so wasteful. It would be better to squeeze out the money first if there is a safe way to make money. The opportunity is now. When there are more and more people and more transportation, it won't be so valuable. There are 2 cities nearby, Hendry and Las Vegas, and the supplies are enough to survive. Then Tao Yu touched Xiao He with a smile and gave him a reward. This sudden surprise made Xiao He collapse to the ground, rubbing his head continuously. Tao Yu tore up 2 more cans to replenish the consumption she had just spent testing her skills, while watching the setting sun as she arrived at the hotel garden, listening to the growls and friction of some zombies outside, and looking at the crows parked on the garden fence. Tao Yu also began to complete the last operation of lifting the corpse. As the sun finally set, the stars appeared in the sky, and Tao Yu poured her own blood. And this time, he dug his fingers into the ground, and began to draw lines on the blood-absorbed soil like ghostly symbols. Rise! With a low cry from his mouth, Tao Yu's fingers were lifted off the ground, bringing up some soil. Following that, a larger amount of mud rolled, and Chao Shaolin's body followed Tao Yu's fingers and broke out of the soil, standing up straight. There was still a smell of mud on his body, and the bed sheet had been torn, revealing a pale body. There was a bloody hole in one eye on his face, which looked quite creepy. Tao Yu looked at Chao Shaolin's body, but he was quite satisfied. He first checked his fingers, and found that his nails had grown to half an inch long, purple-black, and you could hear a metallic sound when you flicked them. He opened his mouth and saw that his canine teeth had grown a lot. Then Tao Yu took out a dagger and scratched Chao Shaolin's skin. It's a pity that it's only a 7-day quick-made product, and its defense is obviously much worse than that one. Now it's all supported by the material, but it doesn't have the shortcoming of being afraid of the sun, and its adaptability has been greatly increased. Tao Yu found that under the 7-day quick-made version, the physical strength of this zombie might not be as high as Chao Shaolin when he was alive. Compared to the telepathy brought by Xiao He's ride, Chao Shaolin's zombie has always been cultivated with Tao Yu's own blood essence, so he has a sense of operation as if he were using his fingers and arms. Although it occupies part of his spirit, this sense of operation is still quite convenient. Shadow. Tao Yu increased his mental consumption, and the next moment, Chao Shaolin's originally stiff mouth, nose, armpits and other shadow positions seemed to have some black tentacles, and then quickly wrapped around his whole body, like plasticine melting and dragged into the shadow. After dragging Chao Shaolin into the shadow, Tao Yu's eyes suddenly lit up slightly. He found that the shadow effect brought by corpse refining reform could actually allow the zombie to continuously absorb the power of shadow, especially now at night. Tao Yu can feel that the shadow power, which is about 1,000th of his own, lurking, is continuously entering his shadow for storage. It seems that 1,000 seems to be very little, but it is continuous. I can drain all my physical strength in just a dozen seconds by stacking 2 latent limits with all my strength. Originally, I had to drain myself 4 or 5 times to store the shadow power of the shadow. Not to mention the trouble, I also had to keep eating to replenish my physical strength, so I felt like a small horse pulling a big cart. Now, it is equivalent to not doing anything, and it can be automatically stored every day, which can greatly reduce some of my tediousness, and this is completely an unexpected surprise that I didn't expect at first. This little surprise makes Tao Yu very happy. If it is 49 and 81 refinements, I don't know if the absorption effect will be strengthened. It's just a divine skill. What else do you want? Tao Yu is a little itchy, however, this time, such a thing happened in 7 days. Tao Yu has to plan well for the 49-day upgrade. Not only should I greet my family, but it is also better to find a better place of extreme ease and prepare enough materials. The shadow power absorbed by the zombie should only be used for its own recovery and nourishment. The effect is best at night and during the full moon. Tao Yu has the shadow control of the second divine, ambush, and some knowledge of corpse refining, absorption. After carefully feeling it, he also made a judgment. What recovery? One-eyed dragon is also good. Let's recover after functional damage. Tao Yu unceremoniously cut off the shadow power absorbed by the zombie and stored it in the shadow. No matter how much the zombie absorbs, it is his anyway. Wait until the shadow is full, then consider using it for nourishment. Then the next moment he released Chao Shaolin again and went to find some clothes for him. Otherwise, when it is really needed, a naked man will jump out of the shadow and beat people every day. This style of painting is a bit eye-catching. Even if Gu Zai's appearance is only slightly worse than his own, it is still the same. A sunny and positive young man like me can't be labeled as a pervert. Tightening the slightly loose, inner scale armor, Tao Yu also complained that this thing is not close to the body. Chapter 78 Purchase. You are listening at NovelsReturning. The alien slender tail whipped a zombie like a steel whip, and directly blew up the zombie's head. After Xiao He cleaned up some scattered zombies on the third floor of the mall, he stood on his hind legs and used his claws to help Tao Yu open the door of the store in front. At this time, Tao Yu seemed to be buying goods, and the backpack on his back was already bulging. In addition to himself, Chao Shaolin, who was jumping behind him, also had a big bag on his back, and so did the alien Xiao. Hey! 0 yuan shopping is addictive. Tao Yu entered the store and began to pick and choose. Most of the stores he chose were not very messy, although some dust had accumulated over the past few months. It was not much. At this time, Tao Yu's combat uniform with burn marks had been changed into a mountaineering suit, while Chao Shaolin, who was jumping behind him, changed into a loose sports suit with a one-eye patch on his eyes. In addition, some daily necessities, toothpaste, toothbrushes and other miscellaneous things were also packed. After returning to the gathering place, I also bought some things for the family. Almost. After picking a set for my mother and sister-in-law, Tao Yu stuffed all the things into the backpack. Then I felt a little sorry when I saw Chao Shaolin wearing a one-eye patch on his face. Although zombies can transform into shadows and merge into shadows, only the equipment they carry close to their bodies can do so. If they carry a backpack, it will fall out. When traveling back and forth between the abyss and the present world, you can bring followers, but the requirements are very strict. You must reach the level of complete control to travel back and forth, and there is only one quota, and there are also requirements for size. You cannot bring those giant beasts. If there are more, you can only bring them in batches. The definition of complete control is probably the level of ordering the follower to commit suicide, and they will do it immediately, and once this requirement is not met and changes occur, even if you have brought it back, you can't bring it again. At present, Xiao He has not reached this point, but Chao Shaolin is satisfied. It's just that Chao Shaolin Tao Yu is normally stuffed into the shadows, so he shouldn't occupy this position, and he doesn't want to show it casually. Now he is released more to adapt to the operability, and then let him move some things. The next step is to take the supplies to the new gathering place to sell. From now on, the transportation plan must first get a truck, preferably loaded with ready-made goods to save time. Now the radio has not received the update information from the two siblings, but it does not prevent him from moving in advance. After the two skills completed the second deification, Tao Yu's original huge amount of 100,000 willpower was reduced to less than 30,000, although it is enough to meet the daily training acceleration for a while. It is necessary to find opportunities to replenish it at any time. There are too few survivors, and the competition should not be fierce now, and the goods should be easy to find. Tao Yu thought in his heart, for the outer city pioneers, collecting supplies in such a place full of zombies may also require teaming up and moving carefully like ants. If it was Tao Yu before, he would have to do the same, because his personal endurance was not enough, and it was actually very troublesome to eat and clean up zombies at the same time. After all, it was just to earn money for the mission, so he certainly couldn't use his willpower to replenish his physical strength. But now, with Xiao He and Chao Shaolin by his side, Tao Yu's pressure in facing zombies was greatly reduced. Zombies are almost defenseless against these two things, so as long as you are careful not to get into a large group of zombies, there will be no problem. Carrying a backpack, he walked down the escalator that had stopped working. Xiao He rushed in front. His agile figure and deadly tail allowed him to deal with zombies without causing too much noise. Chao Shaolin jumped and hopped behind to cover the rear. this made Tao Yu, who was walking in the middle, feel a rare sense of comfort. He could also practice basic breathing method modified 2, with his willpower while walking, feeling the churning of qi and blood in his body, and the numbness of his muscles and internal organs. Tao Yu took out another can of food and started eating the corpses. All over the ground, some things that needed mosaics, and the stench in the air did not stop Tao Yu from eating. The military base has many advantages, but it also has disadvantages in the long run. The Gobi environment and underground water sources should not be enough for irrigation. Tao Yu tried his best to put his thoughts into the manager's shoes, and then consider the things that the base urgently needs, so that it would be convenient to transport them in a targeted manner. There is no need to worry about the base's short-term food. There are already a lot of reserves there, and with the small number of people in the early stage, it will be enough for a long time, but with more and more pioneers coming slowly later, plus the survivors of this world, it will definitely be more than it costs. There is output in the present world, but transportation is a hassle, and it is impossible to keep the subsidies from Xingyao City. Las Vegas is the only oasis nearby. 40 kilometers to the southeast is the Hoover Dam, which can even provide electricity, but it is still a bit far from the military base itself. So what is the most lacking now? Tao Yu did not think he was smarter than others. In addition to having a cheat, he felt that he just relied on his experience in his previous life to know more than the people in the outside city. In essence, he was still an honest, simple-minded, hard-working person from the outer city. Snapped at the alien Xiao Hei's tail whipped twice, and after it stood up and slapped the zombies that were wandering around the door, Tao Yu also walked out of the mall. There were still some zombies wandering around a dozen meters outside the gate, but Xiao Hei, who already knew the habits of zombies, was very safe at this time and did not make any sound. After arriving at the door, Tao Yu took off Chao Shaolin's backpack and hung it on Xiao Hei's tail. With the injection of mental power, the black tentacles that emerged from Chao Shaolin's mouth, nose, armpits and other places merged into Tao Yu's shadow the next moment. Then one person and one alien began to come to the alley next to them and climbed up, the most convenient way to bypass the zombie group is still through the roof. After a few leaps, they came to an area behind where zombies were not densely populated. There was a black Jeep Wrangler parked here. There were more than a dozen zombie bodies lying next to the Wrangler. It was a temporary car found by Tao Yu. Remember that the three guys of the West City 3 heroes seemed to have found a good place, so they wanted to find cannon fodder. Tao Yu climbed into the car and let Xiao Hei get into the spacious back seat, throwing all the backpacks on the seat. When the West City 3 heroes and Jack and the others had a conflict, they wanted to send a few cannon fodder natives to lure away the zombies at a gas station. It seems that there are some trucks transporting goods there. Since I don't know how to choose goods, I might as well choose ready-made products that have already been loaded, which also saves time for purchasing and loading goods. With the skill of riding, Tao Yu stepped on the accelerator and drove directly in the general direction with a roar. The gas station should still be very obvious. Chapter 79 Liberation. You are listening at NovelsReturning. A black Wrangler moved among the corpses in a very tricky manner. Tao Yu held the steering wheel with one hand and relied on her riding skills to drive, no less than the veteran driver Jack. Although this Jeep does not have modifications like a pickup truck, nor does it have any additional equipment welded on, but with Tao Yu's positioning to minimize collisions, the car still drove very smoothly in a retirement city like Henderson. Oh, the gas station is indeed more conspicuous. Tao Yu saw the gas station discovered by the 3 heroes of Xiqing through the windshield with some blood stains and fleshy mud. There should be a fleet of trucks queuing up here to refuel. At first glance, it looked like there were 5 heavy-duty trucks with a length of more than 10 meters here. The cargo box behind one of the heavy trucks was even opened, revealing boxes of goods piled up inside. Tao Yu took a quick glance and found that in the open cart, the carton should read tissues, but at this time, there was indeed a large group of zombies surrounding the gas station. It felt like even the zombies on the street were attracted. Judging from the open container of the truck, there might be survivors behind who wanted to come over to find supplies, and then made some noise that attracted the zombies. This resulted in hordes of zombies here. It shouldn't be all tissues. The other blind boxes must be opened. Tao Yu quickly slowed down the car, and when passing by the gas station intersection, he kept honking the horn. which immediately attracted the attention of the zombies inside. Even other nearby zombies were attracted. However, Tao Yu didn't pay much attention, nor did he increase the speed of the car. He just relied on the low gear and slowly continued driving forward, letting the zombies slowly surround the car. If it is a normal survivor, once the car is surrounded by zombies, he will definitely be unable to break out and eventually be trapped and die in the car. However, Tao Yu was not nervous at this time. He observed the surrounding environment and parked the car in front of a street store in advance, then leisurely opened the door and got out of the car with his backpack. Tao Yu didn't need to deal with it himself. Xiao He quickly killed several nearby zombies as soon as he came out. Looking at the approaching zombies in the distance, Tao Yu and Xiao He climbed to the roof of the car together, then jumped up with their backpacks on their backs and grabbed the billboard of the store next to them. With some creaking sounds of the brackets, they crawled over. The abandoned Wrangler was slowly surrounded by zombies. At the same time, in the convenience store of the gas station, several figures were secretly observing the outside through the glass window. A tall black man with dreadlocks also lowered his voice and said to a Mexican next to him with tattoos visible on his neck. "Someone lured the zombies away, now is the chance." On the other side, there was another Mexican who also made a suggestion to the tattooed man. "Brother, it's probably the person who wants these truck resources again. Moreover, they took such a big risk. There may be a team coming from behind. We need to be decisive. Yeah, I've been trapped here for several months. Those two girls are almost spoiled, and the food is getting less and less. I can't stand it anymore." The tall black man began to complain again. After speaking, he glanced in the direction of the utility room. The utility room was open, and two figures could be vaguely seen inside. "Shut up. Are you going to deal with the remaining zombies outside? Or should you shoot and lure them back?" The Mexican man with the tattoo on his neck scolded him in a low voice. The tall black man and the other Mexican boy couldn't help but feel chilled. Then he lowered his head and said nothing. "We're going to get those two bitches out. They've just gotten tired of it. Let them run. Then we can get in our own car and go." The Mexican leader said calmly, "There are trucks here and even some other better cars, but I have to waste time looking for the key temporarily. Rather than that, just go ahead and get into your own car, where you already have the keys and are familiar with the condition of the car. The boss is still smart, so where should we go next? Isn't the whole world covered with these things? Us." But just as they started making preparations, the Mexican boy had already gotten up and dragged two human baits from behind, but he immediately closed his mouth, because they saw a figure carrying a backpack flipping over the billboard of the shop next to it, and then sliding down the water pipe on the side. The actions along the way made no noise, and did not attract the attention of the zombies whose density became smaller. That direction, is it the direction where the car just passed? Is it the person who lured away the zombies? Just one. The three of them were also a little surprised. It's amazing. He can crawl out of so many zombies. He even has a gun on him, big guy. The tall black man looked at the assault rifle Tao Yu was carrying and raised his eyebrows. "Do you think it's still the same as before? Now it's normal to carry a big guy on your back. Be careful and don't make any noise. What should we do now? He doesn't even want the car anymore. He wants to drive the car here, right? He doesn't want to drive away the truck, right? Wait until there is too much movement. Find a way to kill him without shooting." The Mexican leader made the decision without even thinking about it, and his younger brother had no objections. It was not uncommon to do this kind of thing in the past. "Do you need a reason to kill someone now? Instead of patiently negotiating and explaining, it's better to cut through the mess quickly." Just like that, the Mexican boy stopped his original intention to go to the utility room, and came to the window at the boss's signal, then waved his hands continuously, as if to attract the attention of the people outside. The tall black man had already hidden the dagger in a place where he could easily reach it from his waist, and came to the direction of the door, find the right opportunity to complete the task cleanly and neatly. The figure in mountaineering clothes outside also saw their actions and walked over without doubt, as if the remaining zombies did not exist. He easily bypassed them. At this time, the tall black man also had a smile on his face, pushed open the door and prepared to go out. "Hey, brother." But he had just said the words in a low voice, and his hand had not yet touched the dagger behind him, but he was a little confused to see that the other party had pulled out the dagger first. "What's going on?" Puff. Suddenly increasing his pace, Tao Yu wiped the black man's neck, while avoiding the splash of blood, he kicked him back at the zombies following behind, then he pushed the door open naturally. At this time, the two Mexicans inside were ready to draw their guns as if they were facing a great enemy. He started to fight as soon as he disagreed with someone. "This is a perverted murderer. We haven't started yet. Now they don't care about the sound of gunfire. They have to get rid of the target first. The other party also has a gun." But they didn't give them time to react at all. One of them was directly cut in the throat by Tao Yu, and the other was nailed into the eye socket by the dagger thrown out, all in one go. Tao Yu was even able to react and take the collar of the fallen corpse in one step to prevent it from hitting the shelf and making a sound. The gun is fast and accurate within 7 steps, but it also depends on whether you are prepared and the opponent's reaction time. Scum. Pulling the dagger out of the corpse's eye socket, Tao Yu shook off the blood on it, then wiped it with his wrist and put it back. Xiao He was arranged by him to deal with the zombies nearby, and he felt the malice here just after he came down. It was only because of the consideration that the shooting was too loud that he pretended not to know and walked over directly. With bullet time, Tao Yu was not afraid of competing for reaction. Relying on his extraordinary eyesight, he saw the situation in the utility room with just a casual glance. There were 2 women in ragged clothes, and they looked very bad at this time, and the picture needed mosaic, so he was quite decisive when he took action. The 2 women inside, who seemed to be waiting for death, only realized the situation outside at this time, and then kept whimpering, as if they wanted to say something, but the dirty underwear was stuffed in their mouths, so they couldn't speak, because there was no movement. The zombies outside were relatively calm. Tao Yu walked over directly, and then pulled out the dagger again, saying in a calm tone, "I have helped you get revenge, you can rest in peace. I will help you get rid of it. I hope there is no heaven." Woo, wait a minute. A woman who originally had golden hair, but now it was sticky and clumped together, and her face was dirty, hurriedly struggled with all her strength, and used a difficult yoga move to remove the things in her mouth with her bound feet. The potential of life is fully utilized. "I don't want to die yet, please don't help me get rid of it." After taking it off, she said in a hoarse voice, and turned her head to help her companion take the thing out of his mouth. Me too." A woman next to her who should be of Eurasian descent said weakly after the gag was gone, "No matter how beautiful a woman is, the strange smell of not washing for a few months, the lumpy hair, and the bad experience in the past few months will become more exaggerated than a beggar. Anyway, these 2 people are just 2 mosaics in Tao Yu's eyes, and they are still mosaics with stinky smells. "TSK, what do you want to do now?" Tao Yu put away the dagger. He is not a devil. Seeing that they don't want to get rid of it, he can't force it. This is not good. Chapter 80 Return. You are listening at NovelsReturning. ZZ. The high-pressure water gun used for car washing was sizzling towards the 2 figures. Even though the skin was flushed red, the 2 women did not make any sound. Instead, they used soap to leave bubbles on the places that were not washed. This guy really knows how to kill people. Don't show that you will cause trouble. Those 3 beasts were killed by him like chickens. If Judy hadn't had the talent to pull out the stuff stuck in her mouth in time, it is estimated that the 2 of them would have been freed. Although the experience in the past few months was like hell, it was not easy for the 3 villains to die, so it was better to be alive. Tao Yu yawned while holding the water gun, and saw Xiao He quietly deal with the remaining zombies nearby. Then he stopped the switch and threw 2 sets of clothes over. Let the 2 women take it with thousands of thanks, and then change quickly in broad daylight. They have seen the worst time, and they really don't have any other thoughts now. Tao Yu was not interested. Although the 2 of them were not ugly, they looked stinky and had a filter. These were the 2 female adventurers rescued from the goblin's nest. Thank you for giving us a new life. I don't know how to repay you. I have played cosplay before, and I can be a maid. Their hair was still wet, and they changed into clothes that Tao Yu had thrown away before the purchase, and they looked a little more human. Tao Yu didn't care when she heard what they said, it sounded nice, but the repayment was fake, and the real desire was to curry favor, but since they were going to the gathering place anyway, it didn't matter if they gave it a ride. Our company will build a gathering place at the military base in the desert. I will go there and give you a ride. If you want to earn a living after you get there, it's up to you. Tao Yu said casually, the company's style is not to support idlers voluntarily. If they want to have enough food, they have to move bricks, but just like Tao Yu said at the beginning, they will maintain a basic order. No matter how bad the order is, it is better than no order. The base is currently short of people, so it is still easier, calculating an average of 200 new people every day, half of them are from the new and old development areas. The survival rate of the new development area is still less than 50%, so even if the radio station starts to call for the pioneers to gather, the number of people will not be large for a long time, and it is definitely necessary to absorb the natives. The two women who have experienced hell also nodded like chickens pecking at rice. In this world, it is enough to be alive and fill your stomach with work. I know the password of the warehouse. If you want to move something, I can find a way to open it. The mixed-race girl with freckles on her face raised her hand and said carefully. I can drive a truck, and I can also repair some minor faults. Judy, who showed her talent before and got something out of her mouth, also hurriedly spoke to show her own value. This really made Tao Yu look sideways, and her eyes lit up slightly. Can you drive a truck? Can you drive this kind? Tao Yu pointed to several heavy trucks parked here. They were all built, the same model as Optimus Prime, and the cargo box was more than 15 meters long. I drove one of them. Judy showed a bitter expression. Their convoy came to refuel, and she went into the store to buy something, but a riot suddenly broke out, and ended up like this. Not bad, I'll drive one later, and you drive one to follow me, is that okay? Tao Yu's expression, which was originally a little impatient, suddenly became pleasant. In fact, she is not that ugly. There are really few female truck drivers. Tao Yu was originally planning to make money by transporting in the near future, and this will directly double the capacity with one more driver. This means that the income is almost doubled. Escorting one car is escorting, and adding one more car is actually not too much trouble. Okay, I'm not afraid of zombies on the truck. Judy said to herself as if to cheer herself up. It's okay, I will arrange my pet to follow you, it will protect you. Tao Yu waved to Xiao He. Even though they had seen Xiao He before, they still couldn't help showing fear when they saw Xiao He running towards them quickly. When they first met, if they hadn't crawled out of hell, they would have screamed, but after experiencing such an inhuman experience and surviving, the mentality of the two was indeed quite tough. Seeing Xiao He's honest appearance next to Tao Yu, Judy forced a smile. I used to bring my dog with me to transport goods. It was a German Shepherd, but unfortunately. After saying that, she even suppressed her fear and asked. Can I touch it? Yes. Tao Yu did look at these two people differently. It was really rare to be strong after experiencing hardships, at least compared to the survivors who were well protected by Jack. They were better than most. Bang! A heavy truck crashed into a small car that had broken down on the road and drove steadily forward, and behind this heavy truck, there was a tanker truck. The occasional zombies on the road posed no threat to this huge monster. Tao Yu, who was driving the heavy truck in front, even honked the horn and made a low roar. It feels quite powerful. With Ride, Tao Yu was able to quickly get the Optimus Prime-style heavy truck. Behind them were Judy and Jesse's tanker trucks, with Xiao He lying on the roof of their trucks. This tanker truck was taken out by Jesse from the gas station garage. The reason why they suddenly changed to a truck and a tanker truck was mainly because Judy, as a member of the original truck team, knew that one of them was loaded with 20 off-road motorcycles. After knowing the various types of goods, Tao Yu decisively chose the tanker truck and the off-road motorcycle truck. Originally, these motorcycles were already loaded, saving a lot of loading and unloading time. Tao Yu saw that there were still some empty spaces, so he also stuffed some other daily necessities in them, anyway, filling up all the available space. In addition, the fully loaded tanker truck behind should be what the current gathering place needs. Good people will be rewarded. Tao Yu held the steering wheel with one hand and was very satisfied with the harvest this time. Of course, the two women who had just crawled out of hell had a strong will to save themselves and survive, which was also one of the reasons. Soon, Tao Yu saw the trace of Las Vegas in front of him. Before, Tao Yu and Jack went to the military base through the Gobi Desert. They took a detour along the city and avoided the corpses in Las Vegas. But this time, it might be a bit troublesome for the two trucks to go. Jack and his team also had a truck before, but they only brought a few people, and the weight was almost empty. If the tires were well protected, they should still go to the Gobi Desert. Tao Yu looked at the Gobi road on the side and thought for a moment. Now, if these two trucks, which were almost fully loaded, go to the Gobi Desert, it might be a bit troublesome. While driving, he spread out a paper map with a red line drawn by Judy, the old driver. I hope there will be no trouble on the road. I have to get used to this kind of journey when transporting goods in the future. Las Vegas is a city on the edge of the desert and a famous entertainment capital, but in fact the total area is not large, only 340 square kilometers, and the permanent population is only more than 2 million. The lanes inside are square and in a tic-tac-toe shape, and the urban area is also divided into blocks. It is an artificial oasis with the nearby water source. So theoretically, if you take the outermost ring road, the density of zombies you encounter should not be too high. Now the new gathering place is in ruins. My two trucks of goods have at least several thousand willpower, and it may even be tens of thousands. After the transportation road is opened, we can directly go to Las Vegas to get materials locally. Tao Yu threw the map aside, and then continued to move forward along the road without hesitation. The value of two ordinary trucks of goods may not be so high, but a car of off-road motorcycles and a car of oil are definitely important materials in the early stage, but you can't find it every time. Isn't this more cost-effective than hunting aliens in the grassland? It is much safer, and it can be regarded as a good business to run back and forth in the short term. The current strength of hunting aliens in the grassland was ambushed by the trap designed by the aliens, and it was a loss to use the willpower to recover.